How's it going, everybody? I'm Cherokee Ronnie. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about 8 1/4 that comes in your Jeep Cherokees. Now, I got a lot of backlash from the 4-8 swap that I wanted to do in the Cherokee. A lot of people say, yeah, do it. And a lot of people say, I don't know. A lot of other people say, you're wasting your time because the 8 1/4 is just as tough. Now, you know, a lot of people do downplay the 8 1/4, and I have in the past. And honestly, if you get the newer ones that are 29 spline, they can be just as tough as the 8 But the reason why people do the 8 because you can get them cheap. You can get them for about $100 and you already have disc brakes. Everything that I do on this channel, I like to get down to the specs and talk about it. The older 8 1/4s had 27 splines and the axle shaft diameter was 1.17. All the 8 1/4s have 3-inch tubing. Axle tubings, 8 1/4 on the newer Jeeps. All the stuff will be in the description below of what years the 29 splines came with and the 27 splines, you know, what Jeeps they were in. But the 8 1/4 with the 29 splines, they had 1.21 diameter axle shafts. So, and they had a 3-inch axle tube. So, you know, there was a little bit difference, and I do recommend if you're going to be beefing up an 8 1/4, get the newer ones. They're a little bit better. They have a little bit more splines. They're a little bit tougher. Now, I had good luck running 35s with an 8 1/4, and I am running one with 35s right now, welded in the back, Lincoln locked, and it does just fine. You just have to watch that skinny pedal, because the bad thing about an 8 1/4, if you bust an axle, there goes the wheel. It's going to start walking its way out. So you have to manage your wheel speed and your throttle response. You have to go a little bit easier and crawl a little bit. But as of right now, I've been having pretty good luck. Now, a lot of people ask me about the Dana 35. They have 1.18 axle shaft diameter, and I wouldn't even mess with a Dana 35. I know that the 8 1/4 has a bigger tube than the 35, so I wouldn't even mess with a Dana 35. If you can find if you can get your hands on an 8 1/4 with 27 splines, axle shafts, throw that in there for now, and you'll have a lot of success with it. Like I said, a lot of people do downplay the 8 1/4, which it can be a pretty good axle. But my argument is with the 8 why I like the 8 so much is a lot of people use it for drag racing. A lot of people throw a lot of power to these axles and they can take a lot more. I don't know why, it just seems like they can. The 8 is a 31 spline axle. It has heavier shafts, it has a better center section, and it has bigger tubes than the 8 1/4 by a little bit, but it has I think it's like 3.25 inch diameter axle tubes on the 8 there's a lot of aftermarket support for the 8 the Dana 44s, and now the 8 1/4. So it just depends what you're going to be doing. You can go to the junkyard and convert your 8 1/4 to disc brakes for cheap. A lot of people's done that. There's tons of videos on YouTube. You can go ahead and swap in the 8 It just depends how much time you have on your hands or how much money you have. It depends what you want to do. But here's what I go by, and this is what I always went by when it came to these axles. Whether you're going to be running a lunchbox locker, a welded rear end, if you're going to go with 33s up to 35s, I would run the 8 1/4. I've never had a problem with the 8 1/4. You can do what I did and get the upgraded shafts. If you go back and watch the other video, I talk about the shafts that I used when I welded the rear diff. I'll leave that description below. Also, you can click and go back and watch that, and I'll show you the shafts that I use with my welded rear diff. And like I said, I've been doing just fine. So if you're going to run up to 35-inch tires, get better axle shafts and run those 35s and go have fun. Yeah, eventually you're going to break an axle, but in 8.8 you're going to break an axle too. Let me know in the comments what you guys are running. Like I said, as of right now, I'm running a 6-inch lift, 35s with a 8 1/4 29 spline with a welded rear diff, and I'm doing just fine. I played on rocks, I've played in mud, I've played with hill climbing and stuff like that. Even did a burnout and it's doing just fine. I've not had a problem with anything. Like I said, I upgraded the axles. Don't be discouraged when it comes to the 8 1/4. It can be tough too, just to a point, if that makes sense. So what you have to go by is what you're going to be doing with the Jeep. If it's going to be a daily driver and it's going to be a weekend warrior, absolutely get some better axles for the 8 1/4. Get you a Spartan locker or weld it like I did and go out and have fun with it. If it's going to be strictly a trail rig, I would honestly skip all the axles that we talked about here today and get some big axles and put into that thing of your choice, and just go full-blown trail rig with it and just do some crazy big stuff with it. So let me know in the comments below what you're running, the 8 1/4 or the 8.8, or the Dana 35. It's all kinds of stories on the forums out there saying I run 37s on the 8 1/4 and I'm just doing fine. Blah, 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 this, that, this. It all depends on how you drive too and how you wheel. You got aggressive people off-road. You got people that like to slow crawl. It just depends how you wheel this thing. Like I said, I've calmed down a lot in my older age. I'm not really getting out there and just honing on stuff anymore. I'm kind of taking my time and just starting to climb stuff and just seeing how the Jeep reacts and all this stuff. So it's a lot easier on the axles when you're not out there being aggressive on it and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope to help you out a little bit. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm Cherokee Ronnie. Stay dirty, my friends.